Hey folks. Um, so if you're feeling messy because you are in the Social Security disability application process and you don't know where you are, or you feel like it's taking too long, or you just feel like people have psyched you out about it, that either it's not for you or it's just going to be a fiasco, let me reassure you. I did opt for an attorney myself. I find that if I can find a good attorney, I like to do things that way because neurologically, my conditions are such that any small stressor really trips me up now. It causes me a lot of pain physically, and I have oversized reactions in my body to even small stressors, and I don't have a lot of ability to do executive function types of things. So that would be like answering the phone, answering email for any kind of businessy things. Like for friends, I can do that. But for businessy things, I mean, I just sent a very upset email 3 hours ago to my internet company because they called me on a Saturday, and that's a Sabbath, number one, and also none of your fucking business how I'm doing on a Saturday. And the only reason I have my phone on a Saturday is because I shouldn't be getting business calls. So I should be getting calls from, people that love me and stuff. So, um, that's why I have lawyers. So, but if you're a person who feels like you can DIY it, that's fine. You just want to include all of your healthcare documentation, and fill out your forms, ideally online. They love it when you do it online. But if you cannot use a cell phone for radiation minimization purposes, like I have, then then doing it online will be kind of more difficult, but they can do it on the phone with you, so it's still okay. But why I wanted to make this video is because since everybody is all psyched out about, oh, government programs like don't work and da da da, I'm a person who is by background an efficiency expert. I'm by wiring an efficiency expert. I only have gotten paid for it because I was so fucking good at it when I was four. Okay, so I'm just good at that stuff, and I can see when stuff is not happening in the most efficient way. And every single time I have looked at a report from a government organization such as the Social Security Administration, I've been fucking impressed. Okay? Like, not just impressed, fucking impressed. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. I'm going to focus on the workload data report and what that is. You don't have to know really what any of those words mean, but put together what they mean is they show you the pyramid of how you get approved for Social Security disability. It's a very easy visual. I'm going to show it to you in a second. And then also in the process of tracking down where that was, that I had seen it before, I had saved it before, but my computer was not pulling it up for me, so I had to go get it again. I'm going to show you a couple of other reports that I'll link to in the description of this video if you want to take a look. Because if you are a person who is struggling with the identity of, oh, I have a lot of health problems, but I couldn't possibly be disabled because I'm not a lazy piece of shit, if you're having that situation, or if you are a person who has traditionally voted for smaller government, you're going to want to take a look at these reports. These reports explain exactly what the Social Security Administration does. It explained, and they may not be online for very long, quite frankly, because all of that is getting gutted. Social Security and the IRS have both been heavily targeted. The IRS has already been downsized, and we're only 2 months into this administration. So pull this stuff down as soon as you can. Keep it on your hard drive so that you can relook at it. A lot of this is like stuff, it's very transparent, it's very easy to read, it has visuals, if you like a good chart. And all of it is very informationally rich for someone who needs to vote. Okay? So I want you to vote as an informed citizen, and then make your decision on who you're going to vote for. So all I'm going to show you for primary to this video is I'm going to show you the, where did it go? Oh, I don't have it in Firefox because it must have come up in Edge. Who wants to use Edge? I don't know. But I'm going to pull this up again and show it to you. One moment. Sharing. We're sharing. Okay, so here it is. This is very simple. Check it out. Okay. I'm going to see if I can make this bigger for you. Let's see what I can do here. It didn't work. Okay, that's unhelpful. Let me try it this way. There we go. Okay, so I did the math on this a year or so ago, or I guess well over a year ago, since I was trying to understand if I go down this rabbit hole, is it going to work or not? So here's the pyramid, okay? I want you to look at it like this first, okay? There's 5 gates, okay? These are 5 levels of where you start. So when you initially apply, almost a full 40% of people get approved straight out of the gate, okay? That's a lot of people. So don't believe this bullshit that the SSA is just trying to deny you and whatever. They have very strict guidelines about what they are allowed to approve and what they are not allowed to approve. And if you are doing the things on the checklist that they are allowed to approve, then you will be approved because it is congressionally required. It is legally required. A judge for SSA has to check that list off in order to be in compliance legally. Okay? So that's 39% of people are initially approved. Now, I'm not saying like, if you're not disabled, you should like apply just for the hell of it. Obviously, that's not it. But what I also want you to see is that 60% of people are denied, and that's not the end of the story. Okay. So a lot of people get the 60% denial in their head, and they're just like, oh, well, there's no point in continuing. Well, that's not true because this is not the process. This is the process. Okay. This is like if you're making a cake and you put the flour in and you taste it and you're like, oh, well, this is shitty. I can't make cake. Well, that's not true because you got to add the sugar, you got to put the vanilla in, you got to add the eggs, you got to add the cream, and then you got to beat it up. Okay. So check it out. So you need to think in terms of the process map, which is several steps, just like everything in life is several steps, like be an adult, it's okay. And then if you get denied, you get reconsidered. A whole other 15% of the people come in at that point. That's, a little over 10%. So that's another 6%. So we're at 45-ish% now, over 45% people are approved by the end of that first appeal. Okay, reconsideration is your first appeal. If you get denied at that appeal, then you get to have a hearing. Okay. So we're at 45% altogether here, and then another half get approved. Well, that's like we're up to 65% of the people who got approved. Okay. Are you getting the math here? And then in this one, not many people get approved. In this one, not many people get approved. But altogether, I did the math on this before I ever went on short-term disability. Okay. Altogether, if you do the math on all 5 of these layers, you're looking at a 73% success rate, approval rate, if you go through each of the processes. Okay. And obviously, you want to be presenting the best information you can at each of those processes. Also bear in mind, and I just learned this from my lawyer quite recently, that your date last insured, your DLI, which when you first are exploring whether you should apply for disability, you want to get these 2 pieces of information. One is the DLI, which is the date last insured, which is a date in the future from the day that you call them. And it says, how far into the future is my money in the till going to be allowed for me to apply? Okay. And so for me, that was about a year and a half in the future of when I called them to ask them the question. For a lot of people, it's around a year and a half. For people who are much higher earners who have had a very long record of constant employment and have a lot in the till, theirs might be quite a bit further out. But for most people, it's about a year and a half out. And what I just learned, though, is that past that date, Social Security is not actually allowed to ask you for any medical records, and they're not really allowed to take into consideration any new medical records. So, what you want to do within that first year, year and a half, is make sure that you get the right tests done to prove out and document your disabilities. Now, that's where a lawyer can be very helpful, but quite frankly, if you are a good shopper and you call 4 different attorneys that you get good recommendations on, most of them will tell you what tests they would want you to have in order to take your case. Okay. And if they keep saying the same ones, then pay attention to that list. You should be writing everything down that they say, because this is free advice one way or the other. And then you want to go get those tests. Whatever you got to do, mortgage the house, do whatever you got to do and make that discernment decision financially. If it's worth it to you, then you go get the tests. But make sure that you do it before that DLI, before that date last insured is up. Okay. So that's all we need to know about this. 73%. This is based on 2023 numbers. These numbers may change at any time, and it's so important that you apply as soon as you are feeling like you are hurt and really struggling to continue your work activities. Okay, it's really important. The moment you go on short-term disability, the first call you make or the first portal you go on that first morning is onto SSA website and you apply. Because if you don't, then the clock can't start. Okay, you cannot apply for disability and get approved for it when you are working. You can't, if you apply for it on a day when you are working, then it won't work. Now you can go back to work and crash and burn after you have been on short-term disability and apply, and that actually can help your case because you show that you made a good effort to go back to work and it didn't work, like you got sicker or whatever the situation was. That actually helps your case. But anyway, remember the 73%. That is 3/4 of the people who apply. If they go through the whole process, they get approved. And you don't just get approved 3 years from now, you get all your back money, okay, that Social Security would owe you. And this is not money that you're stealing from anybody. This is money that you put in with your tax dollars and with your wages. The Social Security that gets taken out of your wages is put into a pile over in a certain corner, and that's your corner, okay? That is how we fund these things, and that is the appropriate way to take care of one another, and you are not to feel guilty about it, either if you are funding someone else or if you are taking the money out for your own medical needs. Got it? Okay. Now, I will show you very quickly these 2 other files because I want you to get excited about them. I'm going to start at the very tippy top. Okay. So this just gives you the numbers in a different way. If it's easier for you to read numbers than to read the visual that I just showed you, this is another way to do that. And it will take you all the way back to 2019 if you want to look at it all the way through. Now notice, I'm going to make this big. Okay. Notice here that for all the bullshit that people talk about government not being accountable or whatever, government organizations not being accountable, that's just not true. You can't come up with charts like this with 100 or 75-page documents without a lot of research behind it. Okay, that's just not how it works. So I want you to feel comfortable going through this document and, do your own search, do your own little find. If you want to know about carbon footprint, look up carbon. Okay, there's nothing there about that. Never mind. Let's look up about women. How about that? Oh, okay. My search is actually like really bad. So, oh, here it is. Okay. Women owned. Okay, so you can go through the whole document and find out like, okay, well, for women, what do we got? Um, whatever you want to know about. It's probably something there. Okay, then this is the third one. I'm going to put these links in the description for you. How Social Security is financed. This is the kind of thing that just voters need to know. Like to be an informed citizen, to be a person who is allowed to vote, you need to know this shit. Okay? So read up, understand what it is, and understand when you're being lied to, um, so that you can vote better. Okay, so end of civics lesson. Thanks for being here. And I hope this is helpful. Click on the links below so that you can have your piece about applying for Social Security disability. And I support you in doing that. I'm in solidarity with you. I've been working since I was 12 years old and was certainly raised in a home where people worked and where they still work. And this has been an important process for me. So there is no lack of dignity in it. Go do it right now. And I hope this is helpful.